and that are bleeding. And God can heal the scar. What God wants us to do is more than smelling good. He wants to get rid of the root cause of our bad smell. That thing that's rotten deep inside. And He's fire. If we allow Him to touch our deep core, and He will burn it. He will burn it well. But then He can build a new heart. Now, you may ask, how do I know where I may have problem in my heart? Very easy. Very easy. You ask yourself, what irritates you? What kind of things that really, really anger you or piss you off? And Tim Keller, in his Counterfeit God book, and said, if you pull the anger by its hair, you will see that the root of the, so you pull something like out of, like a beet, right? And out of the ground by its hair, you will see that at the root of that anger, always clean the idol. God, the anger does not come from God. Very rarely the anger comes from God. Most of the time, anger comes from the rotten part of our heart. The anger comes from the idol we hold so dear in our heart. And when that idol is touched, we become angry. And that idol, or those idols, are rotten our lives. We need to expose the idol and let Christ burn it. And when we go through this process, we will smell death. And some other signs for the rottenness is a lack of motivation. God created us for a purpose. We're made for a calling. We should be energized by the calling. And for teens, your job is to learn and to identify the calling and to respond to the calling. And for adults, are you living your life? Respond to God's calling. And in church, we're a group of imperfect people. The worst thing we can do as a church is day in and day out. We claim we believe, yet we still carry the same rotten smells of old self and drag ourselves through life. That's the worst thing we can do. The best thing we can do together is to help each other and let Christ burn old self. And then we can see each other overcome the hatred, anger, anguish, helplessness, depression. That is caused by the rotten self. Because you see that our old self always leads to destruction unless it's rebuilt. And you may ask, I'm still young. I don't even know who I am. If I lost it, if I burned it, I don't know who I am anymore. Right? I mean, I already hear people say that. But here's the trick. Unless you lost yourself, you won't be able to find yourself. And being young doesn't mean that you are innocent. Let me say it again. Being young doesn't mean you are innocent. My heart just ached watching some of the kids and during the sports hours and how they behave. And granted, the kids come into that sorry state was due to some mistreatment of others and so forth. But there's no denying that we are also responsible. If we allow God to do the demolishment and rebuilding, we can start a new journey. In this new journey, we're not going to lose ourselves. Instead, we're going to have an abundant life. alive to its full. And we talk about the essence of Christ, right? And when we represent the aroma of Christ, the aroma comes from within. It's not something we put on in the morning by spraying this on, right? It's not. It's come from within. You don't have to wear it. You are it. Right? We are the fragrance. And it's all starting from our inner being. It doesn't mean that you don't need to take shower anymore. That does mean that our inner self start to exhibit this trait, this character that's really attractive to a lot of people. And how do you describe this smell? Let me describe in something that's, I use metaphor. And the first one is the smell of Christ, the aroma of Christ. Is the smell of white linen. You see in the aroma section, there's different, right? I pick white linen because it's something that fresh, clean. The sun-baked, clean. The linen after thorough wash with bleach and dried under the sun. Have you smelled the clothes that dried under the sun? What's that? I really like that smell. It's clean, right? It's a smell that you just know it's clean. It's like free from any bug and free from any germ. And I picked that smell because it's something that when we rid our old self and when we let go ourselves, that's the smell we should have. White linen. It's thoroughly washed smell. And I believe Christ has that smile. Not only because he was perfect to start with, but he was willingly letting go himself. The Philippians 2:6-10, one of my favorite verses. Who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God to be something to be grasped, but made himself nothing, taking the very nature of servant, being made in human likeness. And being found in appearance as man, he humbled himself and became obedient to death, even death on the cross. And therefore God exalted him to the highest place and gave him a name that is above every name. Christ has nothing to be ashamed, and he's 100% God. But he did this letting go thing. And so that to demonstrate, A, human is able to let go ourselves. And B, to redeem us. And nobody wants to let go ourselves. It's against our nature. We want to hold on to things. That's why we need to kind of gather here every Sunday morning. It's against our human nature to let go ourselves. But unless we let go of our old self, we cannot smell good. And the second smell, the aroma of Christ, I believe is the smell of the summer breeze. And why I say that, because in the summer, the heat is always on. And the summer breeze is something that we don't really deserve, but it comes in so that we can find relief. And that's something called grace. And grace is given to somebody something they don't really deserve. And Philip Yancey in The Amazing Grace said that the world can give everything, including love, but they cannot give grace. And And he also said, I would rather convey grace than explain it. People may not know about God. People may not know Christ. People do not believe in God. People deny God. But nobody will deny grace. Everybody appreciates grace. And people are hungry for grace. And that's why people are so moved about Mother Teresa. That's why people would cry over the kindness that people show to strangers, to homeless people. And I used to work for a German company and travel to Europe a lot. And the colleagues in Europe like to wear perfume, right? And their perfume is like their signature, and their kind of when you smell this thing, you know, okay, she's near, or she enters the room. And when we first talked about the smell this morning, and people, we said people like to wear perfume, people want to smell good. And we wear all kinds of perfume, deodorant, to mask the bad smell. And we all know that without taking shower for a few days would smell bad. But a spiritual smell is a little bit different. When we have Christ in our heart, Christ gets rid of the source of rotten tissues and bad odors. And we smell good, naturally. And this aroma doesn't have to be worn. And you carry it. And we don't have to put it on every morning. You have it. And this smell doesn't have to be strong to get noticed, like a summer breeze. You don't force it onto people. It's just so refreshing and so different from other smells in this world, and people just notice. And we want the smell to be our signature. When you enter the room, I want to smell that. When people smell the grace and the new life, they will say that you smell good. That's the fragrance of life. To the people who are perishing, when they smell the fragrance of life, they would ask, why do you smell so good? And you would tell them, that's because I got rid of this rotten smell before, and I have this new smell, fragrance of life. Do you want to be like that? Do you want to smell good? Let's bow our head in prayer.